So at my pop-up market store, Pork Party, our CHARSIU rice bowls are by far the most popular menu item, and a lot of work and time goes into preparing that CHARSIU. However, I'm gonna show you kind of like this DIY at home, quick hacked version using pork belly that is gonna guarantee you super juicy, super unctuous deliciousness in like no time at all.
Take a seat, it's family meal. There's a new menu every episode. These are the real dishes I cook for my family. The ingredients can easily be found, they're affordable, and there's no fancy equipment. It's just real cooking for real people. On the menu is sweet and sticky CHARSIU pork belly with a super clean and comforting GAI LAN in oyster sauce. And I know what you're thinking, Sarah, I can get CHARSIU sauce in a jar. Why would I make it? Well, this way you can control how sweet or savory your sauce is. It's ridiculously easy to make, and it means you can make however much of it you want. And my sauce doesn't include red food coloring, but feel free to add it in.
These are pork belly rashers, and they're very commonly found in the supermarkets. And the nice thing about it is it's all already cut up for you. They're about 2 centimeters thick, and the combination of fat and lean meat in pork belly is really, really nice. Obviously, some bits you'll have a bit more fat and other bits will be a little bit more lean. And that's completely okay. It adds to texture and flavor, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Now, the thing is, most of the rashers come with the skin on. So we want to remove this skin. It doesn't matter if it's scored or not, we're gonna remove it. You could leave it on, but the thing is, once it cooks, because we're cooking it at high temp very quickly, it doesn't really get a chance to crackle or fully kind of render out and become soft. So it's got this kind of chew to it. Some people like that, some people don't. I'm going to remove it. You can absolutely keep the skin for stocks, soups. You can even make crackling separately from it too.
To remove the skin, place a sharp knife between the skin and the fat layer beneath it, and then slice through confidently.
So these rashers are only 2 to 2.5 centimeters thick, and you can see I've taken most of that fat layer off the top with the skin, right? And that's really important because you want to give this the best chance of being tender and fully cooked, but you don't kind of want too much fat because it's not going to render out in such a short cooking time. Now let's talk about the marinade. It starts off with hoisin sauce. This is a wonderful fermented product commonly found in Asian pantries, and it adds both sweetness and saltiness. You really, really, really need this for CHARSIU. Next is 5-spice powder. It's a mixture of some of my favorite ground spices, and it has the most Christmassy aroma and flavor, and it pairs so well with pork, with duck, with anything even slightly gamey as well. You don't want to overdo it. A little bit goes a long way. For sweetness, I'm going to add honey. This is really, really important for the caramelization, and it adds a beautiful kind of floral taste as well. Now, I don't like my sauce too sweet, so I'm only going to add a little bit. If you do like it sweeter, you could use a little bit more honey. So I'm also going to add white pepper. Now, white pepper to me is a little bit more sharp, a little bit more bitey, right? But you can absolutely use black pepper or whatever mix that you prefer. To balance that, I'm going to add some light soy sauce for seasoning. So just a little bit in, make sure that our meat is really well seasoned. And then the last thing to add is just a little bit of oil. Now, pork belly is relatively fatty, so it will naturally render out that oil as it cooks, but you want to add a little bit more to the marinade so it really has its best chance of really transmitting and translating into that raw pork. And that's literally it for the marinade. Just give this a really, really good mix until everything is fully incorporated.
Place the pork belly rashers directly into the marinade and give it a really good mix up. Make sure everything's coated nicely. We're only going to leave this for about 10 to 15 minutes, but you could leave it for up to an hour if you've got the time, or marinate it overnight in the fridge.
This gorgeous green is GAI LAN, or Chinese broccoli, and it has the most tender, beautiful leaves and stems that are kind of similar to broccoli stem, right? They retain their sort of firmness and their bite. So this is really, really great. If you can't find this, you could absolutely replace this with bok choy or choy sum or any other sort of Asian green. You could even use broccolini or asparagus for this. And I'm just gonna slice off sort of these woody ends because they're really, really tough if you don't cook them for a really long time, and they tend to be very fibrous and not that pleasant to eat. You don't need to take too much off, just sort of about 1 centimeter. And then I'm gonna separate the stems from the leaves. So essentially I'm kind of just going up about 10 centimeters, just to there. So now I've got the stems and I've got the leaves. Now the leaves, even though they look a lot longer, they do wilt down, so it's fine. I'm not gonna cut these any further. But the stems, I'm gonna click off sort of the skinnier ones, set them aside. I'm gonna put the thicker part to another side. So again, just click off the skinny ones. But these sort of thicker stems, these need to be cut down in size, just so that everything kind of cooks evenly. So with the thicker ones, I'm going to slice them in half lengthways. Just so I have 2 halves. Now that'll cook a lot quicker. Anything that's really, really thick, you might want to cut into quarters.
And now to cook the char-siu. My preferred method is the grill or broiler setting in the oven. I place the pork on a rack over a lined tray at middle height, so not too close to the grill, and I grill each side for about 5 minutes. You could absolutely coat these with more marinade after a couple minutes on each side, but my brother doesn't like this too saucy, so I'm just gonna let it be. Now, if you don't have a grill, no worries. You can always cook these in a pan, about 3 minutes on each side on a medium heat. The marinade will char because it contains quite a bit of sugar, but the charry bits are the most delicious smoky parts. You want that. And you can also barbecue these or even put them in an air fryer. Now, the important thing is to let these rest for a good 5 to 6 minutes before slicing it, so it stays nice and juicy. And there it is, perfectly sticky, sweet char-siu pork belly. Oh lordy. Now the GAI LAN is easy peasy. Get a big pot of boiling water, add a good amount of salt, then in with the stems. After about 30 seconds, in with the leaves. Let it all boil for another 90 seconds, then quickly take out the veggies, draining them well and squeezing excess water out. Sort it nicely on a plate and pour over some oyster sauce, followed by a generous drizzle of sesame oil. Then you can mix this up as you eat it, or feel free to mix it all up before serving. Lovely texture, color, and a nice, clean flavor. Bangin'. And that's family meal sorted. Let's eat. I've served this with steamed rice. You could serve it with egg noodles too. The pork belly is juicy, tender, and the aroma is so heavenly. And the greens are so fresh, nicely seasoned with that oyster sauce. Oh lordy. You could also serve these as individual bowls and they look fantastic. Oh, it's so good. This is my dog Panko. Hi buddy. And he's very food motivated. Alright buddy, here you go. Yeah? Yeah. Good boy.